My beloved child, before another ordinary second slips away, notice the quiet feeling that brought you here today. It is easy to dismiss moments like this as coincidence, yet some moments refuse to be explained that way. Imagine standing in a vast station where countless trains pass every hour. Most leave without changing a single life. Then one arrives carrying a destination you never expected to see. That is what this message feels like. It is not asking you to chase the impossible. It is asking you to recognize what has been quietly moving toward you while your attention was fixed somewhere else. What if someone has been trying to bridge a distance that cannot be measured on a map? What if every unexpected memory, every familiar dream, every unshakable feeling has been pointing toward a connection that neither time nor silence has been able to erase? Stay a little longer, because the first clue is often the easiest to overlook. The greatest turning points rarely announce themselves with noise. They begin as whispers that only a patient heart is willing to hear. There is something unusual about the way meaningful connections return. They do not always arrive through dramatic conversations or obvious signs. Sometimes they appear through the smallest details, a familiar song playing at the exact moment you needed comfort, an unexpected thought that refuses to leave your mind, or a memory returning with a clarity it never had before. Most people brush these moments aside without another thought. Yet what if they are pieces of a larger picture waiting to be assembled? Before you move on, consider this question. If two stories are still unfinished, is it possible that both are quietly searching for the missing chapter? You might believe that distance has closed every door, but distance often hides movement that cannot yet be seen. Somewhere beyond your present view, decisions are being made, doubts are being challenged, and courage may be growing where fear once lived. Wait until the final moment before deciding what this title truly means, because the surface of this story has barely been touched. One final thought before this chapter closes. Imagine reading only the first page of an extraordinary novel and believing you already know how it ends. That is how many people approach the most important moments of their lives. They stop watching just before everything begins to make sense. You will understand everything at the end, but not yet. There is one discovery still hidden behind the next chapter, and it changes the meaning of every sentence you have heard so far. The message is not simply that someone is trying to reach you. The deeper question is why this attempt is happening now, after so much silence. The answer is far greater than emotion alone. It involves timing, growth, and a truth that neither person could have understood before this moment. Hold that thought carefully, because what comes next will reveal why every unexpected feeling has been leading toward a single unforgettable realization. The next piece of this journey begins with a question that almost no one asks. What if the silence between two people has never been empty? What if it has been quietly carrying conversations that words could never express? Stay with this thought for a little longer, because the story is beginning to reveal a layer that cannot be seen at first glance. Imagine two travelers walking through different landscapes under the same sky. Neither knows exactly where the other is, yet both are moving toward a place that only becomes visible when enough lessons have been learned. The heart often notices these shifts before the mind is ready to believe them. That is why certain memories suddenly return with unusual clarity, why familiar emotions appear without warning, and why ordinary days sometimes feel as though they are preparing for an extraordinary chapter. You might think these moments are random, but what if they are gentle reminders that some connections continue growing even when no one can see the progress? There is another detail that deserves your attention. Many people believe reaching someone is only about sending a message or making a call. Yet the deepest connections are often rebuilt long before any conversation begins. They are restored through personal growth, quiet reflection, and the courage to become someone better than yesterday. Pause for a moment and imagine this. Somewhere, someone may finally be understanding lessons they once ignored. Regrets may be turning into wisdom. Confusion may be giving way to clarity. The version of them that once hesitated could be slowly disappearing, replaced by someone who sees life through completely different eyes. Before you decide this story is about reunion alone, ask yourself another question. What if the greatest miracle is not finding someone again, but discovering that both people have become stronger, wiser, and more prepared for whatever comes next? You might miss the turning point if you rush ahead, because the answer has been unfolding quietly from the very beginning. Now the atmosphere changes once again. The clues are no longer scattered. They are beginning to connect into one remarkable picture, yet one essential piece is still missing. Imagine standing before a door that has remained closed for years. You finally hear movement on the other side, but the door has not opened just yet. That single moment between hearing the sound and seeing what waits beyond it is where this story now stands. Stay until the end, because the next chapter does not simply continue the journey, it explains why every unexpected feeling, every unanswered question, and every quiet sign has appeared exactly when it did. Something extraordinary is closer than it seems, and when the next page unfolds, you will begin to understand why this message found you at this precise moment instead of any other time. There is a reason the story has unfolded slowly instead of revealing everything at once. The moments that shape our lives rarely arrive in a single dramatic scene. They gather quietly, almost invisibly, until one day the pattern becomes impossible to ignore. Think about the times you felt an unexplainable pull toward a certain memory, a certain place, or even a certain feeling that seemed to arrive without invitation. Most people dismiss those moments and continue with their routine. But what if those quiet interruptions were never interruptions at all? What if they were gentle signals encouraging you to notice that something meaningful was drawing closer? Stay a little longer. The answer is still unfolding, and the most important piece has not yet been placed where it belongs. Imagine looking through a telescope into the night sky. At first you see scattered stars with no clear connection. Then, with one slight adjustment, an entire constellation appears. Nothing in the sky changed. Only your perspective did. That is how many life-changing moments begin. The truth was always there, waiting for the right angle to become visible. Perhaps your soulmate is not simply trying to reach you through words. Perhaps they are finding the courage to close the distance created by misunderstanding, uncertainty, or time itself. Every lesson they have faced has quietly shaped them, just as every challenge has shaped you. Before either path could meet again, both journeys needed room to grow. You will understand everything at the end, because the greatest discoveries are never rushed. They arrive only when they can be recognized for what they truly are. Now listen carefully, because the atmosphere is beginning to shift. The story is moving toward the point where questions start becoming answers. One unexpected realization is waiting just beyond the next chapter, and it has the power to change the meaning of everything you have heard so far. What if the message was never only about another person reaching for you? What if it was also about you becoming ready to recognize an opportunity that once would have passed unnoticed? Hold on to that thought. The next chapter will uncover why timing has been the silent force guiding every event, every memory, and every unexplained feeling. When that final layer is revealed, the entire journey will make sense in a way that could never have been understood from the beginning. Just when it seems the path has become familiar, another unexpected layer begins to appear. Imagine standing beside a river before sunrise. The surface looks calm, almost unchanged, yet beneath it the current has been moving with quiet determination all night. Life often works the same way. The greatest shifts are rarely visible while they are happening. They reveal themselves only after enough time has passed for every hidden piece to find its place. Before you look away, consider this. What if the connection you have been questioning has never stopped moving forward? Not through urgency, but through steady transformation. Wait until the final moment, because the next revelation depends on everything that has come before it. There is a powerful difference between missing someone and truly being ready to find them again. One is driven by emotion alone. The other is guided by wisdom earned through experience. Somewhere along this journey, both stories have been quietly changing. The fears that once created distance may have become understanding. The doubts that once blocked every step may have turned into confidence. Even the silence that seemed endless could have been preparing both hearts to recognize what they would have overlooked before. Ask yourself one more question. If two people meet before they have grown, would they truly see each other? Sometimes the greatest gift is not an earlier meeting, but a better one. Stay with this story a little longer. Every chapter has been leading toward that realization, and the next one will reveal why the timing matters more than anyone first imagined. Now the horizon is beginning to brighten. The clues are no longer scattered memories or unanswered questions, they are slowly becoming a single picture. Yet one essential truth still remains hidden. It is the truth that explains why this message reached you today instead of yesterday, and why certain moments in your life suddenly seem more meaningful than they once did. Before the final page is opened, there is one last piece that must fall into place. When it does, every reflection, every pause, and every unexpected feeling will connect in a way that feels both surprising and deeply familiar. Stay a little longer. The story has not reached its conclusion yet, and the most meaningful revelation is waiting just beyond the next chapter. The story has now reached a place where every earlier moment begins pointing toward the same destination. Imagine walking through a long hallway lined with closed doors. For years, each one appeared locked, leaving you to wonder if there was ever anything waiting behind them. Then, without warning, one door quietly opens. Not because of luck, but because the right moment has finally arrived. That is how meaningful changes often enter our lives. They do not force their way in. They appear when experience, patience, and understanding have prepared us to recognize them. Before you decide what happens next, ask yourself this: what if the greatest opportunity is not something that suddenly appears, but something that has been steadily approaching while you were becoming ready to receive it? Don't rush this thought. It carries the key to everything that follows. There is another truth hidden beneath the surface. People often imagine that reaching someone is a single act, a message, a conversation, or an unexpected meeting. Yet the most important part happens long before any of those moments. It begins with quiet decisions made when no one is watching. Choosing honesty over pride. Choosing understanding over assumptions. Choosing growth over comfort. Those invisible choices slowly reshape a person's future until they become capable of creating something stronger than what once existed. What if your soulmate's greatest effort has not been trying to find the perfect words, but becoming the kind of person who can protect, value, and appreciate the connection they once misunderstood? That possibility changes the meaning of every delay, every unanswered question, and every silent season. You are closer to understanding than you have ever been before. Only one chapter now separates this journey from its complete picture. The final revelation is not about a dramatic surprise. It is about discovering why every piece had to arrive in this exact order. The beginning, the waiting, the memories, the questions, and the quiet moments all belong to one story that is almost ready to reveal its purpose. Hold on to that feeling for just a little longer. The next chapter will not simply answer the question hidden inside the title, it will show why this message may have arrived at the exact moment you were finally able to understand it. The last page is closer than it has ever been, and when it unfolds, every chapter before it will suddenly make perfect sense. A quiet realization is beginning to take shape, and it is unlike anything revealed so far. Think of an artist standing before a nearly completed masterpiece. From a distance, it already looks beautiful, yet one final brushstroke has the power to transform every color into perfect harmony. That is where this journey now stands. Stay with this story a little longer. The answers have been approaching slowly, not because they were hidden from you, but because they needed the right moment to be understood. What if every unexpected pause in your life was quietly protecting a future that was not yet ready to unfold? What if the waiting itself has been shaping both paths so they can finally meet without repeating yesterday's mistakes? Before you decide what this message truly means, allow one more piece of the puzzle to settle into place. There is something remarkable about timing that few people ever notice. It does not ask for attention. It works silently, placing people, opportunities, and lessons exactly where they need to be. Imagine reading the final page of a book before understanding the chapters that came before it. The ending would lose its meaning. Life follows the same rhythm. Every challenge you faced, every lesson you learned, and every unexpected turn has quietly prepared you for a chapter that could not have been appreciated any earlier. Somewhere beyond what you can currently see, another journey has also been changing. Confidence may have replaced hesitation. Clarity may have replaced confusion. The person you once imagined may no longer be the same person today, just as you are no longer the same person you were before this journey began. Wait until the final moment, because one truth still remains hidden, and it has the power to connect every chapter into one unforgettable story. Now the atmosphere feels different. The questions that once seemed endless are becoming fewer, while the sense of purpose grows stronger with every passing moment. There is only one final layer left to uncover, and it is the layer that explains why this message found you today instead of another day. Do not rush ahead. The conclusion deserves every lesson that came before it. When the final chapter arrives, it will not simply speak about reaching someone. It will reveal why growth, patience, and perfect timing have always been the true heart of this story. Hold that thought close, because the journey is standing at the edge of its greatest revelation, and the final page is ready to change the way you see everything that came before it. Everything has been leading to this moment, yet there is still one final bridge to cross before the entire picture becomes clear. Imagine watching the horizon just before sunrise. The world has not fully awakened, but you can already see the darkness giving way to light. That quiet transition is often where the greatest discoveries are made. Stay a little longer. You might miss the turning point if you leave now. Throughout this journey, every unexpected memory, every meaningful pause, and every unanswered question has been preparing you for a realization that could never have been understood at the beginning. What if your soulmate's greatest effort has not been trying to reach your attention, but becoming someone capable of protecting the future they once only dreamed about? That possibility changes everything. It transforms waiting from a burden into preparation, and silence from emptiness into unseen progress. There is another layer that deserves your attention. Many people spend years searching for signs while overlooking the quiet changes happening within themselves. Yet the strongest connections are not built by chance alone. They are strengthened by growth, patience, and the willingness to learn from every chapter that came before. Imagine opening a letter that was written long ago but delivered only when you were finally ready to understand every word inside it. The letter did not arrive late. It arrived at the perfect time. Perhaps this entire journey has been unfolding in the same way. The person trying to reach you may no longer carry the same fears, doubts, or uncertainty that once created distance. Their path has been reshaped by experience, just as yours has. Before you decide how this story ends, ask yourself one last question. If both hearts have been quietly transformed, could the next chapter become something neither of them could have created before? Now only one page remains. The final revelation is not about a dramatic surprise waiting around the corner. It is about understanding why every step of this story had to happen in exactly this order. The title promised that someone is desperately trying to reach you, but the deepest truth goes far beyond that single idea. The next chapter will reveal why timing, personal growth, and quiet determination have been working together all along, and why this message may have reached you at the precise moment when its meaning could finally be seen. Stay until the very end. The last chapter is ready to connect every clue into one complete and unforgettable conclusion. The final page is not about proving that destiny works in dramatic ways. It is about recognizing that the most meaningful changes often happen quietly, long before anyone notices them. Throughout this journey, you have been invited to see beyond ordinary moments and discover that growth, patience, and awareness can reshape an entire future. The title spoke of someone desperately trying to reach you, but the deeper message has always been greater than a single person or a single moment. It has been about becoming ready for the connections that truly matter. Every unexpected memory, every pause that tested your patience, and every lesson that strengthened your character has been preparing you to recognize opportunities that once would have passed unnoticed. The greatest turning points rarely arrive with loud announcements. They appear when the heart has learned to see what it could not recognize before. Take one last look at everything this story has revealed. The silence was never empty. The waiting was never wasted. The questions were never meaningless. Each chapter carried a purpose that only became visible after enough time had passed. Imagine standing before a mirror that reflects not who you were yesterday, but who you have become through every challenge you faced. That reflection tells the real story. It reminds you that meaningful relationships are not sustained by hope alone. They are strengthened by wisdom, trust, understanding, and the willingness to grow. Whatever the future brings, let it find you moving forward with confidence instead of doubt, with compassion instead of assumptions, and with gratitude for every lesson that shaped your journey. Sometimes the greatest gift is not receiving an answer immediately. It is becoming the person who knows what to do when the answer finally arrives. As this journey comes to its close, carry one thought with you. Never underestimate the quiet work that takes place during seasons when nothing seems to be changing. Those unseen moments often become the foundation for life's most meaningful chapters. Keep your heart open to new possibilities, remain patient with your own growth, and never stop believing that every experience can lead to greater wisdom. If these words brought clarity or encouragement, consider sharing this story with someone who may also need a reminder that hope and growth can exist together. And if you enjoy journeys that explore purpose, awareness, and meaningful connections, remember to subscribe so we can continue discovering them together. One day, you may look back on this very moment and realize that the greatest message was never simply that someone was trying to reach you. It was that you were quietly becoming the person who could recognize, value, and protect a truly meaningful connection when the right time finally arrived.